I think we're creating an environment now where capitalism will be able to save us. I think there's been a huge reaction to the excesses of government spending, taxation, regulation, trashing the dollar, and those things will change. Capitalism, when you have sensible rules of the road, works, creates great new products, services, because you succeed in a true free market by providing something that somebody else wants. Short term, these excessive regulations are going to be very harmful, which is one reason why job creation has been such a disappointment. But when you have uncertainty about what the rules are, uncertainty about how many new taxes you're going to be hit with, new regulations you're going to be hit with, uncertainty about the value of the dollar and the integrity of the dollar, guess what? You are going to sit on the sidelines. This is not anything new. Well, think of it as fog. When fog descends on the road, guess what? You slow down, you pull over. And we have the fog of binge spending, higher taxes, weak dollar, massive regulations. People don't know what the rules are, so they're not going to move very fast. I think more and more Americans know that Washington cannot fix a lot of these things, that it's in a lot of areas where it's beyond its competence. And I think for the first time in decades, you're seeing an extraordinary reaction. In an economic crisis, government is always used as an opportunity to increase its powers. You saw it after this economic crisis. But instead of winning approval in Washington, instead of winning approval from the American people, what you see is a reaction of the American people saying, no, this is not the way to go. This is too much. So this is a huge shift. Seismic shift, positive shift. And I think you're going to see more emphasis on how do you enable entrepreneurs to flourish? How do you reestablish the rule of law? How do you simplify the tax code? How do you restore integrity to the dollar? And as those things start to happen, I think the economy will heal very quickly. Well, the easiest thing would be the Federal Reserve stop trashing the dollar. That does not, most people don't pay attention to the Fed, so that wouldn't be a political one. But in terms of 2011 in Washington, how about a freeze on taxes? No new taxes. Keep it as it is until we have a chance to see how we can simplify the tax code. How about a cessation of binge spending, starting with don't spend the TARP money. You got some of it back. Keep it. Return it to the people, or at least don't spend it. Same thing with stimulus spending, $400 billion there. And in terms of then start to do hard work on the entitlements, there are positive reforms that can be done there without raising the retirement age to 95 on Social Security or shooting everyone above the age of 80 to save Medicare. There are better ways to do those things. Well, in terms of Obamacare, it shouldn't just be repeal, it should be repeal and replace. Replace with allowing people to shop nationwide for insurance, get real competition, equal tax treatment between businesses and individuals, genuine tort reform, make it easier for people or small companies to pool together to buy health insurance, remove barriers to health savings accounts. All of these positive things, so that way we can do with health care with what we do with food. Government does not run the farms. If the government did, we'd have no more obesity. There'd be no more food. And instead we allow private enterprise to produce the food, and if people can't get it, you do everything from food banks to food stamps to deal with it. Why can't we do the same thing in health care? I think there are a greater number of people running now who understand basic principles of freedom, of how that allows more opportunity and more chance to do better in life, get a real job. And if the elected leaders don't, they will have the opportunity in 2012 to find new opportunities. In other words, if this crowd doesn't do it, there will be another crowd. People are not going to tolerate backsliding. Well, I think the voters, you don't have to have a PhD to understand that when government spends money, it can't create it out of thin air, that it gets it either by borrowing it, printing it, which is a form of taxation, or actually taxing it. So where does it come from? It comes from the people, and politicians aren't as good with money as the people are with their own money. Well, I think people make their own decisions, so that if you buy something, it's because you want it, not because a bureaucrat says this must be bought for political reasons. And so in government, you get these abuses all the time. I mean, why do subsidies go to rich farmers? Well, because they have the political power. Why do certain programs last forever, even though they don't work? Because they have political muscle behind them. Whereas in the marketplace, if you produce a toothpaste that nobody wants, guess what? You got to produce. You're out of business, and so you get constant shifts in the free marketplace. Whereas government is very rigid, responds to politics, responds to power instead of the immediate needs of people. Again, free markets is about meeting the needs and wants of other people. You don't do that, you don't last. Whereas in government, programs are, as Reagan said, closest thing to immortality. Well, the American people know that this is not right, that this is not working. Got to be a change, and so change is going to come.